Class, this is Felicia Hodges. This is my week 2 exercise exploration video. Let's just go right into the prompts. Question 1, what is the main responsibility of a project manager? And this kind of goes off my personal experience because I was a project coordinator for the two companies that I've worked for in the sign and graphics industry. A project manager is someone who basically they collect all of the data needed, they collect all the resources, they get everything together basically to make sure that a project is going to be successful, and that all the elements and all the people in place, to the best of their ability, will create the best outcome. Question 2, what does a good project manager find out when taking on a project? You find out all of the details, basically ask as many questions as possible to get as much information out of your customers or clients as you can, because all those details are important. I know some people, when you're coming into something, you're like, oh, well, you don't really need to know what color. For example, with the vehicle wrap, you need to know the color of the vehicle, because if it's only a partial wrap and they want something like a crazy color but the vehicle's like red, well, hot pink's not going to look good on red. So small details, a project manager needs to find out all of those small details. Every detail is important, but the small ones, sometimes that seem insignificant, they can be game changers. Question 3. Which of the 3 choices of project management, fast and cheap, good and fast, do you think is best and why? From my personal experiences, I would say good and fast are really the best ways to go, because most of the people that used to come to me, they had a specific deadline and they wanted to meet it and they wanted to meet their goals, but they want really good quality work. So really, you want to give the best work you can in the shortest amount of time. That doesn't necessarily mean cheap, and I am all against cheap, because cheap generally means that it was rushed and wasn't very well put together. Most of the time, cheap means cheaper materials, so the quality isn't as good in the material sense. It doesn't last as long. For example, in vehicle wraps, going back to what I personally know, a cheaper vehicle wrap, such as like a calendared wrap material versus a cast wrap material, calendared wrap generally only lasts about 2.5 to 3 years, whereas a cast wrap vinyl that's well taken care of can last, between 5 and 7. So you have to be very careful when you go cheap. So that's definitely not what I would lean towards. I'd go to good and fast. Number 4, why is it important for a project to have a timeline? The reason why projects need timelines is because whether the customer tells you there's a timeline or not, there always is. They have a specific goal that they have in mind that they need to meet, or there's a show coming up that they want to be a part of, or they're debuting a new item. Whether they tell you about it or not, a timeline is important. You don't want to go past. Like for my company, our average turnaround time on just standard projects, print projects, is 3 to 4 business days, and that's because we know, you put a project in motion, it goes from design. Once that design is completed and approved, you then move into production. Well, when you're printing something, it takes about 2 to 4 hours to print, generally, depending on the piece. Sometimes smaller pieces take a little less time. But then it takes 2 to 4 hours to dry in the dryer. So that's a whole day right there, just in printing and production. Well, then the next day, you're laminating the piece. And the reason why laminate is good is because it seals a printed piece to be more well protected. And then on the 4th day, you're ready for deliver. So generally, our timelines are 3 to 4 business days. And regardless, you want to hit that, because you don't want to hold on to a project for a long amount of time. You want to move on to the next thing. Well, to do that, you have to stick to your deadlines and your schedules. Number 5, how do you think this article can help you with your final project in week 3? The project, well, this exploration I think is going to help just because you're learning about time management. You're learning how to collect data. You're learning how to put everything together to get the best outcome. So for our final project in week 3, this is key elements that, help us, that maybe not help those of us that are not as organized or a little scattered and have really busy lives. This helps us set stuff up. So, we know, okay, well, it's due this day. Okay, I have this many things that I need to accomplish to make sure that my project has all of the working elements that it's going to need. So I need to, by day 2, I need to have this stuff done. By day 3, I should be past my first draft and working on finalizing cuts and stuff like that. So I think that this activity is a really good exploration activity to set someone up for a final project. Well, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I look forward to the rest of this class.